Hey guys! Welcome to the first ever episode of Being My Own Hero. So my name is Jamie, as you may have guessed. I am in my car. Now, a lot of people have asked me as I've been talking about my vlog and what I want to do with it, why I would be filming in my car. And that is because it's kind of two reasons, really. The first reason is that I struggle daily with post-traumatic stress disorder and anxiety. And as such, talking about those things can be really kind of difficult because they are very stigmatized in society, and just because it's really kind of close to home. And my car feels like a very safe place for me. It's very quiet. It's kind of secure, I guess. My doors are locked. And I don't feel like I'm exposed as much as I would if I were walking around or if I were in my bedroom, which I know sounds weird, but this is where I'm comfortable, so this is where I'm going to film, and so welcome. The second reason is that I like to film out and about, I guess, kind of as things happen, and I travel a lot between work and school and my job. I have two jobs, that's why I mentioned them twice. And so it's just a lot more logical to film in my car, because that's where I am for most of the day. So, I mean, I'll definitely have videos that are out and about elsewhere, but that's where we are for now and where you'll see me a lot of the time. So yes, like I said, my name is Jamie, and this vlog, I'm still getting used to that, is all about being my own hero. And, you know, a lot of people have suggested, like, hey, you should write a blog, you should host a vlog, you should do something. And I never really felt like I had anything to say, or like anyone would want to hear what I had to say. But I had enough people tell me that finally I was like, fine, I'll do it. It's been a little rough getting here. I've tried filming this video about probably at least 7 or 8 times, and every single time in the middle I just stop filming because who wants to hear what I have to say? So hopefully this one makes it all the way through. So what is the purpose of this vlog? It's gonna happen a lot. So I started being my own hero when I was in 9th grade. You can Google my name if you want more in detail, in-depth stories, and I'm happy to link articles below. But when I was in 9th grade, I met a man who was 17 years older than I am, or than I was, and he was my science teacher. And over the course of the year that I was in his class, he emotionally manipulated me and groomed me so that he could begin sexually abusing me. And I was raped pretty much every day for about 16 months. Not like I counted or anything. And that was really, really rough because of the mental and emotional manipulation that had happened when I was his student. I felt like it was my fault. And I felt like if I told anyone, I mean, because he told me this, he told me that if I told anyone, my life would be over and his life would be over, and it would be entirely my fault. He became really good friends with my family, who of course had no idea what was going on, and they treated him like, you know, like he was a brother. And I couldn't bring it on myself to ruin somebody's life. And so I stayed silent for a really long time, until finally it occurred to me that he could be doing the exact same thing to somebody else. And I had the power to stop it, and I wasn't doing anything. And that day, literally that day, I called my ecclesiastical leader and went and told him what was going on, and he was able to get the police involved. And my abuser was charged with a lot of 1st and 2nd degree felonies. He ended up being able to plea down to 4 down to 4 3rd degree felonies after a year-long trial. And is currently serving in the Utah State Prison. So that's my story. Now, how does that bring us to today? That was 4 years ago. He was sentenced in January 2013. I came forward, I came forward in December 2012. So he was sentenced in January 2014. So I guess 3 years. 4 years since I came forward, 3 years since he's been in jail. So today, it's been a while. I used to do a lot of speaking, and I did some TEDx talks. I've been to the White House. I did a lot of advocacy work for victims of abuse because at the time, it wasn't talked about. And while I was being abused, I thought that it must be my fault because it had never happened to anyone else that I knew of. And so I had no idea what to do. And because of that, I stayed silent. And I really, really, really believe that silence creates more victims. And so I started speaking about sexual abuse. About a year and a half went by where I just couldn't talk about it anymore. I was so sick of dealing with it on a daily basis, and I just couldn't handle it anymore. So I bottled it all up inside and stopped talking about it and moved across the country and tried to leave it all behind. But those words that I had bottled up inside, they started growing and multiplying and oozing until they burst out of my subconscious, and I had a massive panic attack at work, unprovoked by anything. It was actually on my birthday, and that was last year. One of my coworkers thought that I was having a heart attack or a stroke or something and called the paramedics. I was rushed to the emergency room in an ambulance, and that's when I realized that I have post-traumatic stress disorder, and I'd been diagnosed with it before, but it was always something that I just tried to ignore and pretend didn't exist. And now I realized that this is an illness, really, that I have to learn to deal with on a daily basis. And I do deal with it on a daily basis, and it's rough. And so that's where this blog came into being. Because mental health is not something that people are comfortable talking about. It's one of those things that is very stigmatized and that is a very uncomfortable topic. And so that's why I wanted to talk about it, I guess. I'm good at talking about uncomfortable things, and really, I just want to make sure that if anyone is in the same boat that I was in a year ago or 4 years ago or even now, that they don't feel like they're alone, that you don't feel like you're alone, because you're not. And it's a rough road, and it's hard, and some days are awesome, but a lot of days really suck. And I just want you to know that you're not alone in that battle. So that's why I'm here. I just want to document my story and what it's like living with a mental illness and how it affects me and what things I do to help myself. But also I want to talk about being my own hero. When I was being abused, and shortly after, even before it was really talked about at all, I had a lot of people tell me that, whether it was my abuser or the media or really uninformed neighbors, I had a lot of people tell me that I was broken and that I wasn't worth anything anymore, and that because something had been taken from me in such a invasive way, that I somehow was less of a person. And I had to realize that they were all wrong, and that I am brave and strong and beautiful and smart and capable, not in spite of what happened to me and not because of what happened to me, but because that's who I am. And the trauma that I went through doesn't have to affect my inner being. I mean, it does. It does affect my day-to-day basis, and it affects pretty much every aspect of my life, but I'm still the same person. And I think that that is so important for it to not become my identity, and to realize that I am my own hero and that I don't have to wait for anyone to save me. Because I tried for so long. For a year and a half, I tried to send little signals to my friends, to my teachers, to my parents, to anybody who would listen, because I just wanted someone to save me. And I waited and I waited and I waited, and no one saved me. And I realized that I had to be the one to save myself. And when I did, I took that power into my own hands and finally was free of everything that I'd been going through. And I came to the same realization with my mental health diagnosis. You know, I tried to hide it. I tried to shove it away and pretend it didn't exist. I tried to pretend that I was just fine and that everything was always great. And then I had to realize that no one's going to come save me. This isn't going to go away on its own, but that I have to be my own hero and I have to save myself. So that's what I'm doing, is taking each day by the horns. Sometimes tearfully, sometimes a little panicky, but I'm going to do it anyway. And I just wanted to invite you guys along for the ride, because this is something that needs to be talked about. And if you have questions, if you have comments, if you want to know anything from what I like to do to cope to my favorite color, ask me in the comments right below. I will respond, because we're all in this together. And I think that's the most important thing to realize, is that nobody has to go through this alone, because we're all human and we all go through crappy times. And if we come together and help each other out, we'll all be a whole lot better off. But first, before you lean on anybody else, remember that you have the power right in here, in your heart, to change whatever situation it is that you may find yourself in. I know it's kind of cheesy, but I want to leave you guys with a quote that I love. And that is, when writing the story of your life, don't let anyone else hold the pencil. So I am currently trying to take my life's pencil in my hand and do whatever I can to write the story that I want to write. Please leave a comment and tell me how you guys are writing your own story. And I will see you next time. Bye.